Yes, actually, as you mentioned, the security product has something special and it's something that hard to explain or it's hard to understand the potential impact of a security issue and these kind of things. And precisely because of this, is very important the usability. Usability in several sense. For example, customers already have their operations and their workflows. The solution has to be very easy to integrate in these workflows. The customer is not going to change this workflow and they have thousands or hundreds of workflows and it's very hard to modify each of them and to adapt everything. So the integration has to be very easy and very smooth. So it's not
People
user
don't like change.
interface, but you have to prepare everything to, okay, do 3 clicks and you have integrated everything and you have monitoring all the projects and these kind of things.
Welcome to the Elephant in AppSec, the podcast to explore, challenge, and boldly face the AppSec elephants in the room. I'm Alexandra, your host and AppSec enthusiast and growth manager at Escape, an API discovery and security platform. Today, I am thrilled to welcome Jesus Cuadrado to the show. Jesus is the Chief Product Officer at Xygeni, an ASPM platform focused on improving software supply chain security. With over a decade of experience in product management, he is now leading the charge in creating user-friendly security tools while tackling critical challenges like ensuring reliable software updates and integrating zero-trust principles into product strategies. In this episode, we'll dive into the intersection of product management and security, unpacking the role of software composition analysis in mitigating library risks, the use of open-source packages, and strategies for ensuring their security. Whether you're curious about breaking into product management and security or want a product manager's perspective on building effective security solutions, this episode has something for you. Dive right in! Hi, Jesus. I'm super excited to have you on a podcast with me today and learn about your experience, especially like very special experience of product in security. That's very, I think that could be very interesting for the listeners to know actually from the product standpoint how you can actually build, security products and how you apply like application security within this framework. And I think like actually building secure products is quite tough. And that's what we can see in the industry, that even large vendors, they are not exempt of actually having problems, having bugs, and that's what we could see like within the past weeks with the like CrowdStrike incident, where like all the screens in the airport went completely blue, and that's crazy, like how impactful it was, and everyone was talking about it. I mean, in security, it makes sense because everyone knows CrowdStrike, but even like outside of the security world, like people could see like the impact of which actually like security products can have. Like, what do you think are kind of the main lessons that we could kind of learn from it?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you very much, Alexandra, for having this opportunity to share with you and with listeners some of our learnings, insights, and our experience. So it's fantastic to stay with you here. First of all, as you mentioned, security products or cybersecurity products has some special topics or some specific topics, but at the end, well, several things are very common across the product management. We have some special circumstances regarding the user experience and other topics that we can explain later. Regarding CrowdStrike, it's true that, yes, security is quite important. It's a security company, very, very big, very known, but actually the issue was not related with the security itself. Okay, it was more related to the testing process and the delivery process. Okay, in this sense, I think that is something that we will also take into consideration. First of all, testing is absolutely crucial in the delivery process and in the product development process. And in this sense, is something or things that we have to consider. We could summary in 2 or 3 main ideas. For example, one of the things is progressive delivery methods. Instead of delivering the latest version for everybody, we can do progressive in the sense that open the new version two small groups or different groups of users in different stages. So in case we can detect any problem, we can correct and we can solve any issues before impacting all the install base. Okay, this is one of the most important things. Other topic that we can analyze is detect the issues or attempt or try to detect the issues before the customer can detect it, or having the most possible information regarding the issue before we receive the first notification. For this, we need detailed monitoring for how the product is working in production environment and gather information regarding potential errors, connectivity, and locking, resource consumption. We have to monitor everything and to have this information, because if our support team detect these anomalies in the behavior, probably we can act before the problem becomes so critical as to lose the service, for example. Okay. And then finally, is something regarding not only CrowdStrike that has an issue with the upgrade or the delivery mechanisms, okay, because it stopped the possibility to deliver a new release, and this impacted in the customers in the sense that they have to do manual processes to recover and to solve the problem. So in this case, it's very important for the end customers to have backups and recovery plans and have it tested and updated in order to avoid or to mitigate the efforts and the impact of having these issues, in order to, in a very rapid way, recover a previous version or something like that, and to continue with the operations and the business service.
Did the incident in
Yeah, and to the testing and the QA team also. Okay, pay attention. Do we have all the measures to avoid this type of issues in our product? Yeah. Or I think every product manager did the checklist to ensure, okay, I'm doing everything to avoid this kind of impact. And yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it made for sure a lot of people a bit more stressed about their own products and processes and Q&A as well, because I mean, when you see such impact, and say if you're a public company, CrowdStrike, it also impacts your stock value, so it's just so much impact on the business as well, your brand reputation. Yeah, not.
And in this case, not only for CrowdStrike, but also for Microsoft, that was actually someone that only integrates these solutions, but at the end is the main affected in this sense, because probably they didn't protect against the third-party providers. And this, the first line is, okay, this is a Microsoft issue, and it's the face of the problem.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have to like maybe think about new processes to implement, or like revisit, your processes. Like what actual processes do you have specifically in place, or did you put in place to actually manage, the risks, like the risk that there will be, such bugs related into released into production when you release a new update?
Well, actually, we have something very similar in the lane I explained. We have, for example, we implement this progressive delivery in the sense we have like an early access mechanism that allow us to enable certain functionalities to groups of users that we decide. Sometimes we open to one group, other times to other, depending on the functionality, if they were involved in the definition or the development of the functionality, because they are early adopters, let's say, or early testing customers, in order to validate that everything works as expected, there is no impact, and this kind of thing. So we have these mechanisms to deliver and to launch things in advance, close groups, and if everything fails, just
Hopefully
to
never.
back up very quickly, okay? And then the other thing we have is the delivery process itself. We apply the QA process as for the rest of the functionalities. We test all the automation for delivery, for recovery to a previous version. So everything is tested, is automatic to avoid human errors and these kind of things. During the testing, for sure, we discovered some provisioning errors in the database or whatever. So everything is corrected in the pre-production environment to ensure that everything goes properly to production. So with this, we ensure that the process is okay. Then the functionality testing is also controlled, and we have deep monitoring in the sense that we have instruments to monitor the activity of the process and the platform itself in order to avoid, say, errors in performance, in functionality, in connectivity that probably are not visible for the end user because we have perhaps mechanisms to ensure that everything is controlled and the functionality to the customer is correctly delivered. But as soon as we detect all these things in order to correct them or to improve the resilience of the platform, to avoid this in the future, to improve the performance and everything regarding these things. Okay. Then other things that we also do, probably we communicate in advance and we try to prevent and to inform the customers that we are going to do these changes and we probably the potential impact in case of some error or the things that we are going to change and this kind of thing. So I think that we are more or less aligned with everything.
And for example, for a lot of guests on my podcast, that the application security engineers, for them it's very important to build relationships with developers and train them on security. Is it something that you're kind of also trying to do from the product perspective? So to kind of have a conversation first, since these developers who are actually building security tools, is it for you important that they have some security knowledge as well? Is it something that you've tried to train them a little bit or make them more involved, in
Well, you mean with the security team in the customers or internally
internally? So for example,
internally?
like internally at my company, we have some developers who are very passionate about security. They attend security meetups, they're involved in OWASP. And it's, but they're not, for example, the security engineers. So they focus on infrastructure, on backend. So, but they're still like passionate about it and train themselves on it. Is it something that you do as well?
Yeah, actually, well, it's easy for me this specific topic because our team is very senior. Okay, and they have a lot of experience in the security development area. Most of them comes from developing other security tools, okay, in the past. So they already knows how to do everything, how the market and the ecosystem of building specific solutions for security works, the preference of the customers. They have a lot of very, very good vision on these things. Then we don't have a hierarchy, so we are very plain, we are very agile, and everything is quite integrated. So actually, development is in constant communication with security, with the QA team. I am involved in every day in conversations with them. So everything is quite aligned, very integrated, and it's easy to do these things. In fact, they are continually training and learning new things. And they are daily analyzing the news, the new threats, the new solutions. So they are informing me about the trends in the security. So just to integrate this knowledge, not only from the customer, but also from the internal team to improve the product, improve coverage, and to even use the product internally and to learn about our internal usage. So at the end, I would say that yes, they are quite integrated. They are covering very well the training part and the keep informed about everything. Yeah, even our case is easy to do this.
It's easy when people have a lot of experience. At least what
Well,
goes
that's
when
true.
when they learn from their when they learn from all the different mistakes that they could have made. Do you use any like open source packages or
Yeah,
tools? Yeah.
yeah.
And how do you make sure, for example, that the open source packages that you use are secure?
Well, actually, yes, we use open source at the end. I think every product in the market
Mm,
use open source because it's the way to accelerate
yeah.
development and to avoid reinvent the wheel. Okay, in
Mm,
a sense. So actually, all the software is using this part. Uh, how do we ensure this? For
mm,
sure, first of all, or we use third parties from open source perspective, and
mhm,
then we don't use private external third party components because when
mhm,
we interact with commercial software, it's usually from an integration point of view. It's not to use it internally in our solution, it's to interact with them, to integrate solutions in sense. So we focus on the open source part. In this sense, first of all, the decision of what open source library or
mhm,
component we use. In this sense, first of all, the license in order to avoid to compromise our license or distribution of our software or whatever, in order to avoid potential legal issues and these kind of things. Once we have validated the license, we go for the what how to say the popularity or some scoring to
mhm,
ensure the package is properly maintained and that the publisher and maintainers have a good reputation in order
mhm,
to ensure that we can trust in this component for a long time, to avoid change in the short term or to reduce the risk of having an attack or whatever through this supply chain. Then once we have decided what component we want to use and what we want to integrate,
mhm.
it enters in our, let's say, inventory of components, and we
Yeah.
start analyzing daily any type of risk. For example, we have two types of risk. We have the risk regarding vulnerabilities. We have risk regarding other type of attacks, like type of squatting, suspicious dependency, the way they publish in a public registry or in a private one. So we cover all these type of attacks. Regarding vulnerabilities, we do daily analysis to ensure that the potential vulnerabilities that affect us is considered for resolution and for remediation in order to
Mhm,
remove it as soon as possible. And then something that we also do is check malware. The malware has increased a lot in the open source in the last 2, 3 years, and is the main way to integrate or infect an application, to integrate malware in an application
mhm,
through open source packages. There are a lot of different things or ways to do it. So every new version or every new component that we are going to integrate, we analyze it, we
mhm.
review the code, and we ensure that there is no suspicious code inside to avoid that we are going to have an issue or in our application, or we are going to have a backlog or whatever. So these are the main activities: selection, daily monitoring, vulnerabilities, malware, and
Mhm.
any type of attack, and then maintenance, just to ensure that we have the latest security safe version and these kind of things. Okay? Probably
Okay.
before going to the last version, we ensure that everything is stable, that everything is tested,
Mm.
and we do our internal review of this company.
Okay. And what do you do like in an automated way, and what do you do in a manual way? Because, for example, actually having a lot, inventory of all the components, it's and
Is
verifying it
yeah.
manually is tough. So, is it something that you kind of automate as well?
Yes, in fact, nobody can do these kind of activities and management without automating the activity.
Yeah, because it sounds a
Uh,
lot.
is
Yeah.
thousands of components
Yeah.
with different versions, every day new publishing vulnerabilities, versions, whatever. So actually, we apply most of the process is automated, although we have some parts that are manual by our research team or our experts in some specific places, but most of the things are automated. And in fact, we use our own solution for software composition analysis and malware detection. So at the end, what we do is, with our solution, we automatically analyze all the source code and everything to do the inventory and to check license, maintenance, scoring, everything is automated in this sense. Then, regarding the policies and the SLAs that we have for ensuring the security and the quality criteria that we have, we raise some alerts. And when we have some alerts, it goes to the team in order to do a more deep research and to prioritize and to create the task in our plan to solve everything. And this is for inventory. For vulnerability, we integrate in continuous integration, continuous delivery pipelines. We integrate our scanner and our solution in order to do an analysis of all the components each time we are integrating and we are packaging the product. So we can control that before creating the binary artifact. Everything is tested and comply with our security policy and our standard quality gate and this part. And for the malware, is something in parallel that is subscribed to the registries in the public registries. And each time that a new component is published there, we download, we analyze, and we reach all the evidences regarding suspicious code or what we consider that could be malware. Once with this set of evidences, we create like a likelihood of maliciousness. And we analyze it also manually to confirm is something really malware or is the package from a third party is trying to do some test or whatever in order to confirm. And in these cases, when we detect that something is malware, we notify to the public registry. We for sure block in our system to avoid that it enters by any way. And we notify the public registry so they can remove, create the advisory, and notify the rest of the community in this sense.
Oh, makes sense. Like at the scale, we also use a SCA tool to actually monitor, at least on a, let's say, as a starting point, all the potential vulnerabilities that we can have in code. And one of the topics, I think, SCAs was actually something that kind of software composition analysis tools that kind of popped up in some conversations that I had recently as well with some of the other like podcast guests. How important do you think is the actually SEA reachability, in actually identifying, the risks and that are associated with the libraries that you use?
Yeah, it's fundamental. And in fact, not all the reachability analyses are the same. Okay. Why is important reachability? Reachability, first of all, each component that we can find in the community probably has associated a lot of different vulnerabilities in different databases, MVD, OSV, and when you use a component, you are not using all the components. And the vulnerability is associated to one specific part, one specific method or class or whatever. So the thing is, if your software is not using that part of the component, actually your application is not vulnerable for this type of attack or that vulnerability. Why is important this is, usually if you analyze and you go to the database, you are going to have thousands of vulnerabilities associated to your application. So it's impossible to solve all of them because it
solving all of them is never
huge
possible.
resources, time, and whatever. So what is important? As a company, we have to put focus on the things that actually are going to improve my security posture in the most effective way, with the optimal resource allocation, team allocation, and time to solve as soon as possible. So the first step is, okay, this vulnerability is affecting my application. In this way in this moment is where reachability provides this information. Reachability do the analysis to what calls or what invocations I'm doing for this component, this one. I'm reaching that vulnerable part, yes or no. If not, it's not something that I have to concern for now. I'm not going to remove it probably, but I'm not going to prioritize to solve because it's not a risk for my application in this moment. Okay, maybe in the future I change something and can reach that part, but for the moment it's not critical for me. With this analysis, you are actually removing near 50%, okay, between 30 and 50% of the issues. So you are doing a lot of improvement just in the potential plans. Then you can combine these findings with models for exploitation capabilities based on the actual exploitability of the issue in the wheel and this kind of thing. So you have like a second reduction or filtering approach. And with this, probably you are managing only between 20 and 30% of the total vulnerabilities. And then on top of that, with this, you apply automatic remediation just to automatically update all the dependencies to the safe version that most of the times there is a solution or there's a version that update or solve the issue. So it's quite easy. If not, if you don't have this reachability capability, you have to face everything, and it's impossible to ensure that what you are solving is actually going to impact in your security, and probably you are wasting resources, time, and a lot of things. So this is differential and critical for any organization.
Yeah, I think it does sound very critical for the organizations for sure, but it's tough to understand at the beginning, I think, especially if you don't have maybe enough knowledge about the topic. I would say to kind of understand how important it can be. Like, how would you educate yourself, for example, on this topic?
I think, well, actually, from a technical point of view, probably I'm not able to explain the detail about how to implement all these algorithms. Okay, it's something quite complex in that sense. But if you are facing operations, okay, regarding the security manager or the team management, in order to improve that you deliver your release on time and on quality, without understanding, you at the end are always searching for ways to improve efficiency, to reduce time. And so it's something that, for example, is now, maybe it was not very common in the law now, but now it's starting to be something that is in the media, and it's something that is becoming quite relevant because it's something that works, is validated, and actually is being applied in the day-to-day of the teams, of development teams, because of this benefit of efficiency and cost reduction. You don't need to be technical. If you are in the planning
You
part
just need to
and the
want to
efficiency
learn.
part.
Yeah, like I think as long as, in any case, as long as you want to learn more about the topic and you want to research on it, and then you can actually try to understand what's written in the media, in the articles, and sometimes reports as well. But I guess it takes time, to understand that. And what would you, for example, recommend, to someone who wants, I don't know, to build their own security tool, like not your competitor, but security tool? What would be, I don't know, top 3 points of advice that you would give them for what they should pay attention to, like tools or processes that they should implement? Like, if you would sum up, in top 3.
For a company that develops software, for example, and has to integrate the security, is transforming from DevOps to DevSecOps, for example, or something like that. Well, first of all, visibility. They need visibility. If they don't know what they are managing or they are implementing, they cannot protect them. Okay, it's something that all the CISOs has in mind. I cannot protect what I don't know that I have. For example, one of the issues is I don't know how many pipelines we create every day. Okay, for example, so inventory, everything, and having an assessment of security of everything is fundamental. From that point, once I have the visibility of everything and I have the security position of everything, I can start the prioritization process. I have to put more attention here. then here, and then here. And then once you have this assessment and this vision, you can start the risk management process, let's say, because you can start prioritizing. How do you prioritize? You need, this is the second recommendation, you need something that allows to adapt to your operational process and to filter and to do the prioritization based on what is important for your business and for your team. In this sense, for example, we enable funnels that allows to create your different stages regarding how you filter and how you provide more relevance to one ticket than another tickets or security risk, okay, in this sense. So, and then the third point probably is the supply chain in the open source is critical. It's critical because it's something that everybody has. It's something that could be an open door to any attack if you don't control or do you manage the issues associated to these packages. And because from 3 years ago, the attacks through this supply chain, through this channel, has doubled each year. So we are, to have an idea, if the last year, for example, NVD registered 30,000 vulnerabilities, but there were like 500,000 of attacks through open source malware. So it's more than 10 times the attack. So it's something very relevant. It's increasing still. This year is going to double again. And it's very important to protect from the moment zero. This means usual or traditional solutions based on the vulnerabilities that are registered in these traditional tools. But very few attacks or malware is registered in this part. So more than 80% of the malware is not registered, is unknown. So you need to analyze the package and the potential suspicious code because all the malware is going to be unknown. So if you use traditional solution, you are not going to be protected and you need some new tool in this sense.
Okay. And now we've been talking a lot about like the technical side of it, but quite often the security tools might be very focused on the technical part, but then not so much on user experience or user friendliness. It depends. I mean,
No.
Of course, it depends,
Not at
but
all.
yeah, but yeah, it's not always the case because it's often built by technical people for technical people, and the actual like, you don't really think about how to make them user friendly. Like it's more about focused on features, rather than experience sometimes. So how, especially with you with your, I don't know, more than 10 years product experience, how do you make sure that the value that the tool brings is also translated for the experience of the user?
Yes, actually, as you mentioned, the security product has something special for example, other cloud, multimedia, and other segments where I work. And although it's true that it has a very important technical part, okay, because at the end, the user of the product is very technical and it's something that is hard to explain or it's hard to understand the potential impact of a security issue and these kind of things. And precisely because of this, is very important the usability. Usability in several sense. For example, customers already have their operations and their workflows and everything used. So the solution has to be very easy to integrate in these workflows. The customer is not going to change this workflow and they have thousands or hundreds of workflows and it's very hard to modify each of them and to adapt everything. So the integration has to be very easy and very smooth. So it's not
People
user
don't like change.
interface, but you have to prepare everything to, okay, do 3 clicks and you have integrated everything and you have monitoring all the projects and this kind of thing. So in this sense, it's very important from usability and to avoid or to minimize the impact in the day-to-day operation. So this is important. Then you have the other things or the other part that is the knowledge of the customers. Okay, they are quite technical, but most of the time can be technical developing or system administration, but it's difficult to find a lot of people being expert in security part. And it's difficult because at the end, developers are who solve the security issues. So security managers say, okay, we have here a security risk, and say, okay, you developer has to solve it. You have to explain to them what's the impact, how to solve it. So you have two usability issues here. One, facilitate the effort to the security manager was the most important thing, okay, with the minimum effort. So you have to automate how to prioritize, how to raise the, when to raise the alerts and these things. And then when you go to the developer has everything very well explained, very well detailed. So you are not expert, but if you do this, and this, you are going to solve it. So it's that you have one customer, but you have like 3-4 different type of users of your platform in different places. So you have to integrate the usability across everything: onboarding, integration, prioritization, integration with the workflows, and then explanation about the knowledge, as you mentioned before, because it's quite complex and developers usually knows about developing, but not about the specific ways to solve the thing. So at the end, we have to talk with all of them, understand the day-to-day, the priorities, and just to try to adapt to their way of working. So yeah, it's very important, the usability also.
But I think, yeah, it's the feedback. Sometimes you might get, also the feedback from developers, like if they find, your card, put it in a backlog, but then developer comes to you and says, but that's not possible technically, it or it's gonna take, it's maybe like more not possible, but it's going to take amount of time, x amount of time, that much longer than you expected. So you kind of have to think, do I need to make any trade-offs maybe on that topic? Like, have you ever had to do any trade-offs to actually ship faster?
Yes, at the end, we have always the balance between the urgency versus long term, or usability between complexity. There are things that are, at the end, technically, everything is possible with time and
But the
money,
time and
right?
money,
Okay,
everything
so
is possible.
the thing
But
is, at the end,
yeah.
we have to prioritize also internally. Because of that, we have we gather a lot of feedback from the customers, and not from customers, is from a lot of customers, and try to prioritize in the sense what's providing the most value for all of them, or for the most of them. So at the end, there are things that you say, okay, this is very important for all of them. You prioritize and start working from this moment. Other things probably are quite complex and needs some refinement, even with the customer, just to discover or to understand why it's important for the customer doing in that way or whatever. So at the end, with this refinement, probably we use, or we find a way to implement it and to facilitate the usability again, and to provide the value, also probably even in a different way from the expected, the initial expected plan. Okay, at the end, what we want is to deliver the value to the customer, and they are flexible, and probably even in some places they can adapt a bit the way of working if you provide the solution for that part. In some cases, if it's something quite or very, very specific, probably we count on partners that will customize the solution, or to do something ad hoc for that customer. But it's more probably something based on services, customized for one customer, whatever. But we try to find things that are valid for most of the install base.
So always like put the customer first, and then iterate from there. Have you seen this approach change throughout the years? Because you've been, in product and tech in general for more than a decade. How have you
Well,
seen it, like the
actually,
challenges change?
yeah, probably a lot of years ago, yes, the product team was more focused on delivering functionalities, just functionalities, and the customer will adopt it. But I think from a few years from now, we use lean approach and these kind of things because it's demonstrated that has more success in the delivery value to the customer, adoption of the product, and all these things. So at the end, the product management has changed, and now the focus is talk with the customer, identify the pain, and try to solve the pain in the most useful or easy to adopt way. This is something that is usually not in security, but in all the products. And because in this way you can start small and then you can grow. The idea is to deliver the value as soon as possible to the customer. And yes, the product management has changed in this sense from, I don't know, 10 years. I think that is clear, and nobody now is doing delivering functionalities
Just like that, yeah. As they come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what advice, would you give, to a young product manager who wants to work in the security field? What should they actually learn to stay for their job, to be impactful and still stay relevant within the upcoming years?
First of all, regarding this part of the customer is to be in touch with the reality, being with the customer, understand their pains and the reason because is a pain for the customer. Okay, because in this way you don't think the technical solution, you think in the pain and how to avoid that specific topic. Because when you are close to the customer or several customers, you understand why things are done in a specific way or why they cannot change it, or so you understand and you create the empathy with the customer in order to understand, okay, this is really a problem, or this is not so critical, or I cannot do it this way. Because so the idea is not to fall in love with the solution, but it's more fall in love with the problem, in the sense of, okay, if you understand the problem, you can apply creativity and innovation to find a solution. In the other way, if you think in the solution, you are going to find only one place. So it's very important to do it. So first point, stay in touch with the reality, with the day-to-day of the customer to understand the problem. Second, continually being asking why the things, just to understand the root cause of everything, just to, because of this thing of understand very well the problem, and then let as a team find the best solution. And in the team, your engineers, your usability designer, and the customers. Okay, because if you involve them in the solution, for sure, the later adoption and satisfaction and everything is going to be validated, the solution. Okay, and then continue learning, continually stay learning, reading, testing, exploring. I don't know how to say, doing experiments. Just to
always.
There is not a magic rule. Is okay. Something can work in one moment, not in another. So it's experiment, and validate with experience.
You mentioned like the teamwork. How would you recommend someone to motivate, the team, especially if they come in young and they don't potentially have, that much. They haven't earned this respect yet. So how would you recommend them to approach motivating their team?
Well, motivation is fundamental for a good performance of the team at the end. Not only the integration and the collaboration, but motivation. At the end, I think we have like several levels of motivation. Motivation at team level, okay. I think that is very important to provide a vision of what you want to to achieve or what you are trying to provide in this sense. And then this is like okay, everything or everybody is aligned to achieve that objective. And the thing is, then you have the team. Each people motivates with different things. In senior teams, usually, or at least I like that they want to contribute and they want to put the experience at the service of the definition of the solution, contributing. It's impossible that one person knows everything. So the strength of the team is everyone providing and contributing in the expertise area, and that the solution of the product is born from the contribution of everybody. And good senior teams wants to contribute and to put their experience there. And then we have the junior people in the team, okay, or I consider that the most important thing for them is to be very close to someone that is very senior, has a lot of experience, and share the knowledge and accelerate your development in your professional part, not only in the technical but also in the organizational way of working or working with others, and not only the technical skill but also the soft skills and these kind of things. So at the end, you find who can match better with a junior because of, I don't know, a
So
technical
create a
area.
mentorship.
Yeah, like this kind of mentorship. So at the end, you have mentorship, you have motivation for the senior, and you have a common goal. I think that this is the most important to make a team with a good performance and a high performance team.
For sure, I think they already then start collaborating from the beginning and learning from each other, and trying to kind of, I think the senior people bringing the junior on at least on board and showing how it's done. And I always ask this question at the end of the podcast: what kind of book would you recommend to others in product and security?
Actually, there is not a book for product development of security products. So I will say from the product part, that is something that is general for product management. My favorite one is the Lean Product Playbook. Okay, that is a fantastic way to do the lean approach, to build something from scratch based on the needs and the pains of the customer. So, and in a very agile way. I mean, agile in the sense of minimum waste of effort in any place. So it's the most direct way to deliver value to the customer. Okay. Other very good is also the Inspired, how to create products customers love. Okay, that is also something that any product manager should also read. And then from security point of view, I will focus on new security issues that are more related not for static analysis. Software composition analysis is new from the reachability point of view, but is something quite technical. But new issues regarding security probably are related to the software supply chain. Okay, these topics that we have mentioned about ways to attach your software through the open source, or modifying your integrations processes and this kind of thing. So in this sense, I like a lot of software transparency, supply chain security in an era of a software-driven society by Chris Hughes. Okay, very good.
Yeah, he's very well known.
Yeah. Other similar también that probably is easier and for people that doesn't know anything about the software supply chain is the software supply chain security, securing the end-to-end supply chain for software. Okay, from O'Reilly. That is something very easy that explains everything from the beginning and this.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Jesus, for coming on the podcast and sharing, your experience of from the product perspective of building security products, and just sharing your knowledge about open source, about actually securing also software supply chain. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much to you, Alexandra, and it was a pleasure to share with you and try to explain my experience with your listeners. So thank you.